Hello, Rural Affairs family. This is Roy,
And I'm Yolanda.
and we're your guides in Rural Affairs, where we show you affairs
Affairs
done
done
right.
right. So we've been talking about infidelity and should you share it, and if so, who you should share it with, and why, and the pros on sharing it. And today we're going to dive into some of the cons. But before we do that, thank you guys so much for joining us today. This
Thank you.
channel is all about helping couples find love and trust again through travel. We share our experience of infidelity and how that does not have to be the end of the relationship when both partners are willing to put in the work. You can rekindle, you can renew, you can rebuild.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting into some of the cons. We did have a video on the pros, so if you have not seen that, be sure to check it out. We're going to make sure that we link it here,
Over.
here,
Up.
up.
There you go.
All right. Okay. So, one of the cons of sharing infidelity with others is judgment and bias. What do you think?
Judgment and bias. The idea that, hey, once you share this, will people look at you differently? Will they make some type of um assertion? Can I use that word? Or
You just did.
some type of assessment of who you are as a person, and have you been an authentic person? And like, I knew they was shady all along.
Shady.
So the con may be just having to deal with that, and people are people. So just being aware that everyone that says they're in your corner may be in your corner up until a certain point. So just dealing with the reality of, people have their perspectives, and they may have judgments, bias, feelings, experiences that have happened in their life that color how they look at you and in your relationship.
Yeah, and I think I had mentioned in the pros video, when you seek emotional support, that's a pro. And one of the reasons that I knew that I could tell, we could tell my family and our kids and our god kids, is because there was not going to have any judgment. They weren't going to look at you differently or treat you differently. As a matter of fact, I think I told someone like, they have grown to love you, like over these, how many years have we been together, like they have grown to love you and have really embraced you. And one of the things I love about my family is no matter, even if we did not remain together, you would still be a part of the family. You'd still be invited to the family reunions and the vacations and things like that, because that's just how my family is. And so we've seen that, we've grown up with that. And so I knew that there wouldn't be any judgment or biases there, and we're very fortunate in that, because that's not the case in all families and in situations. And so knowing that that was not going to be our case, but understanding that that is a very real
Reality.
that is a very real reality. And so you have to weigh that con,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Loss of privacy. Here we are on these YouTube streets. No no privacy, right?
The idea of sharing it and it kind of being a con is now your business is basically kind of in the street. So if you are a person that thrives with only sharing so much, or keeping your life totally closed off from the world, then sharing this level of an event, your privacy kind of goes out the window at that point. And it may be a a major blow, because if you haven't had that level of transparency or divulging that level of information before, it can be a serious blow to you and your partner in your relationship. So you definitely want to, take that into consideration.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. Shameless plug. Yolanda Y. Spearman, and that's where I share, just to encourage other women, that hey, you can, no matter what decision you make, if you have experienced infidelity, you can thrive. You can thrive again. And so there is just so much interesting comments with people who are, and I get it. You're projecting, but there's so many interesting comments that I don't read anymore. But yeah, I knew once I started sharing like privacy, like that was that was gone out the window. Now that doesn't mean that we have to share the names, the dates, the specifics, the ins, the outs, and all of those things like that, because that's not important. That's not relevant. But I knew that level of sharing, just sharing, hey, I've experienced infidelity. We're working through this. Just, I mean, that you don't have that privacy anymore, and we told everyone, again, sisters, our kids and guys. So, and even told, shared with people like, hey, this is what's gonna happen. God has told me to forgive. God has told me to stay, and then God's told me to share this story. So I knew that I had to share this story. And to a certain extent, I was prepared for the backlash, right? I was prepared for the backlash. But it is what it is, more important than the backlash that I receive, that we may receive. It's more important for us to be authentic and to be transparent and to help someone. Because at the end of the day, if we're not doing that, then that pain is just like, I think our pastor was like, you don't want to waste those tears. Like, you don't want to waste that pain. And if you can help someone else, why not?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Then another con is increased pressure on the relationship. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
No, I can definitely say that was not. I gotta love our family. That was not a con. For us, like no one said, when we divulged the affair, no one said, well, you got to stay together, or no one said, well, you got to leave him. Like no one said that to us. I don't think they would have. We went to them with, okay, this is what has happened and this is what we have decided to do, but there wasn't any pressure to do one, at least not from our family.
Yeah. But in I guess in a generic sense, and looking at it as a con, some people may feel as though, well, hey, once I do say that, hey, we've experienced infidelity and we're going to, well, that was part of our story, no matter what happens after that, is there increased scrutiny on what happens after that? So if you stay and you're every waking moment and your every Facebook post is about flowery beds of ease and sunshine and snowbirds and rainbows and cotton candy in our relationship, the moment that something goes south, it's like, see, I told you. So feeling like you have to put on this facade or this air of, yep, we decided to make it, and by golly, we're going to make it come hell or high water, which may not necessarily lead you to be as authentic. You may, pull back and not share as authentically as you wanted to, because you feel this pressure to make it work. Like that's supposed to be the end all be all. So just understanding that some people may feel as though that's a con in sharing, because now there's all eyes on you, as they say.
Right. And again, I think we'll mention this, but definitely making sure that you have your circle, right? Your village, and You if that were to happen, you may have to just be firm with your village and say, hey, it's not for you to decide what we do. It's not for you to decide if we stay or if we, if I stay, if I leave, whatever. Because they may be pressuring you to do something when you want to do something totally, totally opposite. Yeah. So definitely a con that we, again, if we didn't, that was not our journey, but it's a con. So we wanted to make sure that we Make sure we share. Risk of taking sides. Risk of taking sides. Did any of our kids? Now, our kids will take sides when it comes to like where we go have for dinner, or where we go watch, things like that. And usually, whose side they usually take. It depends. It depends. But this was not. However, this was not one where sides were taken. I remember our oldest son said, "Hey, you know what? Life be basically like life be a life, and life happens. I'm old enough to understand that everything isn't necessarily always black and white. Yeah. You're my dad, I love you. You're my mom, I love you, and that's all that matters."
Yeah. The risk of taking sides, I think it's still there until you see that no one has taken sides, right? Mm. So the risk is always there. We were fortunate that the people that we care about most, our kids, haven't taken sides. I will say that I was concerned that my children would see me differently. So taking sides from the standpoint of, Dad was the guy that did the harm to my mom. Mm-hmm. And so now when he says something like, well, who are you? Like, you are the person that did X, Y, and Z. Forget what you said. Mm-hmm. Your credibility is, gone out the window. And fortunately, we haven't had, that situation. But that is a potential risk to think about, to understand. But through God's grace, we've been able to share with family, and to date, not have had that be an issue.
Right, and that's not to say that there's no disappointment or
for sure,
or hurt or even anger or anything like that, because that was the case. But I think I remember saying, babe, you gotta, like, you still have to be their dad. Like, you still have to correct them. You still have to discipline them when you still have to do that. And I can't remember how long that journey was, but I do remember you saying, that being a big concern. I guess maybe having them, because they were older when this was shared, and not experience life as much as we had, but definitely not as young as our younger kids, but understand that, again, as our son said, everything is not always black and white. Right. So that definitely helped. And then the final con is a potential regret. Like, you done said it, you done tell everybody, and now you regret it.
I can't stand this. Fill in the blank.
Yeah, once you share the information, it's like you can't take it. You can't take it back. I remember when we made the decision to, like, okay, we're gonna homeschool the younger two, and I was all gung ho, and there's a form that you just have to submit online, and I hit submit. And immediately there was like this, and I think I put it in the family's text. I was like, oh my goodness, I feel like, oh, what have I, what have I done? And you have that regret. I think you have that regret, a potential regret. We're listing it as a con, because you may regret either decision. Like, you may regret the decision to stay, you may regret the decision to leave. But now that I've put this information out here, I can't take it back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It to coin the phrase, it is what it is at that point.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you may wish you hadn't told some people, shared it, or whatever. But at that point, whether they say you can't uncrack or unscramble an egg.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the toothpaste jar or the tube. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah. So and that's and that's even like when you share it, like you could think that this person is going to be really have your back and understanding and things like that, and then you share it, and that is not what you receive. Like you don't receive the comfort and the warmth and the emotional support and you don't receive it. You receive a whole litany of negativity, and that's not what you want. That's not what you need. So that's definitely a con that has to be considered when it comes to, do you share? Do you not share, right?
And who you share
And
with.
who you share it with, yeah. So we're gonna just wrap this up really quickly with some tips for deciding who you tell. Number one, choose carefully.
Choose carefully, my friend.
Really good. Yeah, if you decide to share, you just want to make sure that you are sharing with someone that you trust. You trust completely. What we always tell our kids growing up, that you guys don't have to always come to mommy and daddy, because sometimes, I didn't always like to go to my mama or dad to talk about things, but yet we understand the importance of having someone who is wise, and imparting information. So we would say, hey, you don't have to always come to us, but these are the people that we entrust you to, and these are the people that you can, share with them, because we know that they have your best interests at heart. So you want to choose wisely, choose carefully. You can limit the details.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you don't have to write a thesis.
Names and places have changed to protect the
I,
innocent and the guilty.
yeah, I was about to say, we're not about to say it. Yeah.
That's why I said
Innocent and the guilty. Yeah. I didn't know that you were going to put the
Come
and
on,
the
big
guilty.
girl. Come on.
You want to consider the long term effects before you sharing. You want to think about how the information is going to impact you, how it's going to impact your family, your kids, and as well as your relationship with your partner.
Yeah, for sure. Because a decision made in the spur of a moment can lead to some of those cons, and the other partner feeling some type of way because you guys haven't necessarily talked through everything and give it some time and proper consideration.
And discuss it with your partner. And that segue.
Definitely.
Discuss it with your partner. And then you want to explore professional support.
Not only explore, engage, and endure.
Yeah, and we've mentioned this quite a few times. We even have a video on should you seek professional therapy, right? There, it's gonna be somewhere. So yeah, that's definitely a tip to do that. So deciding who to tell, whether or not you going to tell, it's definitely a matter of personal preference, right? So we're not saying that if you've experienced infidelity that you must, you gotta, you should, you ought to, share your story and tell someone.
Personal decision.
It's a personal decision. We are sharing. If you decide to tell someone, then these are some things that can be helpful. These are some pros to consider. These are some cons to consider. For us, it was we've got to share our story so that we can help others feel like they're not going through this journey alone. So that is all that we have for today, right, babe?
Yeah. So if you like what you're hearing, go ahead and make sure you hit that like button. And then as well, make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss any of our amazing content. And until next time, I'm Roy.
I'm Yolanda.
And we're your guides in Rural Affairs, where we show you
Affairs done right. Till next time, guys.
See you guys next time.